Anti-Afro Svengalis. Listen, this is what we have to do. We need to go to school with Michael Irvin. He's got a lesson he wants to dispense. It's not going to take long. So stay tuned and I will return.
All relationships, let me tell you, let me give a school on this. All relationships, they are not really a relationship if they're not based in reciprocation. Don't let people tell you, I don't want to be in a relationship where somebody used me. Yes, you do. You only want relationships where you're being used. Only relationships where you can use somebody and they can use you to help get where everybody needs to go.
Mike, what the hell are you talking about?
I don't know.
I gave y'all good life lessons in the midst of football. That's what makes this game so great. It is the greatest game in the world. Like the life, you can't do anything without assistance in this world. There's no such thing as individual isolated success in football. That's what makes us great. That's why it all works. That's why America loves this game.
Okay, so Michael, I just learned something. I want a relationship in which I'm being used because that's the best relationship, right?
Right. Exactly. That's what Aaron Rodgers wants. Now, what you don't want is a relationship where you're abnormally being used, where you're there for somebody, and then when it's time for you to be there, when you're there for somebody, when it's time for them to be there, they're not there. That's you being used and them abnormally being used. Abnormal use is abuse. Don't make me teach on this all day. I can school y'all on this.
Is that what happened in Green Bay with him then? Is that what you're trying to tell?
Absolutely.
Okay, who is going to argue with Michael Irvin? What he's saying is true. Don't get me started on Aaron Rodgers. I don't agree that this scenario applies to Aaron Rodgers. I have to put that in there. But this is what I want to point out. He's talking about relationships where there's mutual respect. Garden variety. I'm not talking about rolling out a red carpet. It's not that you're taking a scorecard and you're marking boxes. When you do this for me, I do that for you, and XYZ. If you have people who have a garden variety level of respect for each other, it's the natural course of relationships that you help each other out, that you support each other. Now, we do know, just like Michael Irvin just said, there are times when you'll do for people, it's just natural for you. You're going to help out somebody. But when you need them to support you, they're not there. Now, there are instances, I think, when most of us don't really react to that right away. We may hang in there for a little bit of time, or there are people who may hang in there for all eternity. But I think people eventually get the message that they feel they're being used, and then they hightail it out of there. But there are times when people are downright brutal about it. They become angry because they're taking and taking and taking. And when you decide, you know what? I think I've reached my limit. Not only they get angry, they start treating you in a manner as if you've done something to them, and to the point where they start making up lies on you. Now, when I talk about this, I'm talking about situations that may not be that involved and extensive, or they may be. But this is what I've seen in and around the Umar Johnson sector. Let's go back to when I was doing videos, starting in 2017. Technically speaking, I still don't care. As far as the content, the people were taking the videos and making all kinds of money. Whatever. That's basically my attitude as we sit here today. However, it became extremely bizarre when people would take our content and then they have the nerve to turn around and file complaints with YouTube after they've taken our content and have run our videos or live streams. I don't do live streams, but people who are doing live streams all through their live streams, collecting cash apps or whatever they're collecting, super chats, and want to turn around and complain to YouTube. They can complain to YouTube because it's legitimate and it's legal. Complaining to YouTube about videos, unless you're lying, unless you're filing false copyright or privacy complaints, people have a right to file with YouTube. So if that's the game people want to play, we can go down that route, people. We can. It's not going to matter to me about a channel, a physical channel. But those who are doing this, they seem to have a lot of investment, but they are the most selfish. They have the most severe ingrate qualities. They don't give a hoot about you at all, only care about themselves. So when people decide to say enough, they have a right to say enough. Take a look at the screen, because this is an exercise in the unimaginable for me. You can put $1,000,000 on the table. There's no way I could even try to pretend. I would never succeed. Pretending that someone for 2+ years would spew this protected class abuse, grand scale, as a public servant. And not only am I the target, essentially, this person has gone down the line and targeted every single person. I'll include friends, supporters, and those who refuse to attack me, Rev G, us. I'll say us. I can't even pretend that that would ever be okay. And then I would feel some crude and debilitating, self-deprecating urge or responsibility to do nothing about it. For Carrie Ann to sit up here and threaten to get Black men locked up for crimes they've never committed, she feels she has a right to spew deprivation of liberty threats in response to crimes that never happened. She can target every single protected class category and spew the rancid, abusive, and I'll say false, slanderous garbage coming out of her mouth. And the most egregious of all is that she invoked the profession as a teacher. Teaching is the most noble of all professions. Now, people can argue about that. That is a widely accepted belief. Teachers reign supreme. You have literal control over the minds of developing youth. We're talking very specifically about K through 12. It's even more essential. And it's just as impactful, but in a different way when you're talking about the college arena. But let's stick with K through 12. You're dealing with a couple of elements here. You're dealing with parents who perhaps didn't have a positive experience in school, especially if you're dealing with a school with a high minority population. And then you have someone here who comes online bragging about being a teacher and has no restraint, and then turns around and expects her targets to have some sort of deference, to have concern, to agree that it's something they would never do anything about, to accept some bizarre expectation that there be no punishment resulting from that. You'd have to have some sort of mental imprisonment to think that's okay. It's even worse if you're trying to impose it on someone else. Now, if someone else decides they don't want to do anything about it, that's their decision. You can't make that decision for anyone else. You want to talk about mercy? Carrie Ann got mercy. Carrie Ann got nearly 3 years worth of warnings to stop what she was doing. And it was close to a year after she disclosed her name, her last name, on a live stream where she was attacking yet again more of my friends who said and did nothing to her. Yes, you absolutely deserve to be reported. And she didn't get enough of that. She came back online after the complaints were filed and retaliated against me and retaliated against breaking the culture of silence. It doesn't matter what you think about us. What she did is unlawful. If you decide that you want to accept what Carrie Ann did, you can do that. You will never be able to impose any expectation on us. Do I have any caring or concern for Carrie Ann, who wanted one of my best friends locked up for harming children, which is absolutely false? Where in the hell do you think I would ever have any semblance of concern about Carrie Ann other than pursuing revocation of that teaching credential? This is not a one statement situation, because there are statements, single statements, that can be so egregious that, yeah, you need to get the hell up out of here. State. It was Hawaii. You know what he said? I'll tell you what he said. He made this speech about the age of consent laws are completely outrageous. That younger people should be making more decisions about what they do with their bodies. And he would go on to say, we need to reevaluate the consent laws because this is out of control. All these people being arrested. This is a very brief recitation that he gave. And Hawaii said, we're not giving you a credential. We're not awarding you a teaching credential. You will never be able to get a teaching credential. And of course, he filed, which he has a right to do, and a court upheld, you're unfit to teach. That's giving you a single block of a comment. Within a limited space of time, this person was denied a teaching credential. And you really think he's going to be able to get a teaching credential anywhere else? No. So you have a person who's been up here for over 2 years, repeatedly making statements. There are standards in all professions. And the worst part of what Carrie Ann did, she continued to invoke her profession prior to making statements. Came online and gave Breaking the Culture of Silence's legal name and called her essentially a hooker who filed a complaint against her. That is retaliation. If you want to give up your rights, you can give up your rights, but who the hell is anybody to tell us we have to relinquish our rights and be silent? We won't be silent. Carrie Ann had plenty of opportunity to cease her conduct, and she refused. I don't know her a damn thing. I feel very confident speaking for Breaking the Culture of Silence. Neither does she. This continuous bullshit that Carrie Ann has been spreading, or anyone else has been spreading, about breaking the culture of silence, abandoning children. Well, what are you going to say if you get hauled into court and Breaking the Culture of Silence produces documents from the police and CPS that this is a false claim? What is Carrie Ann going to do then? I have zero sympathy. Why in the hell would I have sympathy for someone who sat up here and tried to get my friend locked up? If you don't have any self-respect for yourselves, you're welcome to have no self-respect, especially when we're talking about these brothers. And I use that term lightly. Completely eviscerated your very existence. How little you think of yourselves to find that acceptable, but you have that right. You have every right within your being to ignore it, to give Carrie Ann deference, but I don't. Anybody can file a complaint. And I want to address, there was a comment, I was trying to find the actual screenshot because I wanted to post it, that everybody in and around the Umar Johnson sector has dirty hands. Everybody in and around the Umar Johnson sector, well, they were saying Umar Johnson sector, I'm saying in and around, has dirty hands, and anybody's words can result in them getting fired. No, that's false. You can make comments, even say sexual comments, or even say vulgar comments. It's going to depend on what the comments are. There is no comparing Carrie Ann's conduct. And I'll be specific because this is what they're always trying to do with me and Rev G and our friends and supporters. There is no comments that any of us have made that would ever come anywhere near being as egregious as Carrie Ann's. None of the comments that we have made is going to result in us losing licenses, certificates, jobs, contracts, nothing like that. And that is a frustration that reigns supreme. They have failed to force us into replicating their egregious, unlawful conduct. The conduct is unlawful. Carrie Ann has made threats of violence. She has slandered people. She has accused people of being criminals. Her conduct is criminal harassment. I don't give a damn what anybody says. I don't have any concern for Carrie Ann except pursuing my objective to get that teaching credential revoked. I don't care what any of you have to say about it. You can let Carrie Ann talk all kinds of shit about you all day, every day, but they don't do that though. See, they don't want to say, Carrie Ann, let's go to your page and you can talk about our families. You can talk shit about us and call us child molesters. You can accuse us of all types of crimes. Let's get together in our own group and we'll accuse each other. You don't want to do that. You want Carrie Ann to attack other people. Well, you wanted Carrie Ann attacking other people, and the people that she attacked fought back. And what we're doing is 100% legal. We don't need your approval. We never needed your support. Never pursued your friendship. Coming to somebody's freaking channel a few times means what? See, this is very abusive. It's not like saying you have an ex-boyfriend and you had sex with him, so now forever you must have sex with him. Right. They want to deprive you of your rights. You know, that is sexual assault, by the way. If you think you have a right to have sex with someone, although you're no longer together. Well, we had sex before, so now you must have sex with me. This is what the mindset is. Because we went to your live stream, you think that we are beholden to you mentally so you can say and do whatever you want to us and we have no recourse? That type of behavior marks an instability that I don't even want to delve into. And I'm talking about, I've never been on Carrie Ann's page. I don't know if any of us have. Like anyone AFW, I don't think we've ever been to her page. But you all, whoever it applies to, you can exist in that sickness. It is sick to think that you have to put up. Where in the world is your self-value and your self-worth that you can allow a person to sit up there and tear down your very existence? And you think it's all good. Again, you have a right to think it's all good, but you don't have a right to tell us that we have to look at it as all good. There is not a single grain of guilt, no regret, no shame. Just like, where's Carrie Ann's shame, guilt? Where's that? Ask her. She doesn't have it. Well, guess what? I don't either when it comes to defending my rights. Don't have it just like she didn't have it. So you all can continue. You're welcome. You are welcome to continue spewing what you want to spew. It will have no impact. I was on a couple of live streams today and I was getting all of these messages about, well, so-and-so saying this. Let me tell you something. If I blocked you, I have nothing to say to you. You can continue leaving me messages that I'm not going to respond to. Say whatever you want, except for crossing the line, and you know what's going to happen if you do that. We have freedom of speech, but nobody has the right to issue threats of violence. Carrie Ann issued threats of violence. Carrie Ann, by the way, she wants people dead. Carrie Ann wants people dead, but she wants sympathy for her plight. Carrie Ann is doing nothing but replicating conduct that she felt was effective with her. It's never been effective with me. Never in a million years will let somebody think they can what? Put me on a beat down and I got no options. Oh my God, people. I'm quite sure this is what Carrie Ann did to many of her students. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to get into the details. Carrie Ann made certain statements according to some sources. And I said it in the other video. I'm quite sure she was very careful about who she picked. She was at that school She would do some things at school, but she reserved her vitriol and her abuse when she found this black space on YouTube, and the nerve of her to think that we have to sit up here and put up with her shit. We don't have to put up with anything that Carrie Ann does or says, and we won't. Filing complaints is 100% legal unless you are lying. And Carrie Ann has every right to file a claim and state that we lied. Yeah, right. The district doesn't have to believe anything that we say. The district, I'm quite sure, has subpoena power and can get her content from YouTube. So all this crap about doctoring things up, I have no idea. Maybe somebody did doctor things up. I didn't doctor anything up, and neither did Breaking the Culture of Silence. So whoever they're talking about, check with that subject. You can go and advocate for her. You have every right. When I say you, whoever it applies to, advocate for Carrie Ann. You have every right to do that. And we have every right to file our complaints and pursue them to the fullest extent of the law. She was given nearly 3 years, and she didn't give a damn. That is Carrie Ann not giving a damn. That is her job to protect. We're not responsible for feeding Carrie Ann. We're not responsible for placating her. We're not responsible for giving her breaks. We have no allegiance. We have no association. We have no relationship to Carrie Ann. We don't owe her a damn thing. And there'll be no way in hell she'll ever be able to guilt us for her abuse upon us. We're guilted? No. Anyone operating within that context, again, you can operate like that. But you will never be able to impose that upon us. People, I have more coming your way. In the meantime, buyer beware.